So this is something new for this channel. Mattson Tomlin has posted in 2022 a certain list of movies from Criterion, a collection of movies that have been released on Blu-ray, and he was talking about studying some of these movies. So it might seem that this was going to be the inspiration for the writing process for the Batman Part 2, and it might possibly be a storyboard or filming process as well. So just an inspiration of movies, emotion, the way that something is going to look or feel. And I think it's interesting to look at these movies and try to figure out what might have inspired the Batman Part 2. So this is going to be Odd Man Out by Carol Reed from 1947. After a failed robbery attempt, he falls out of the getaway car and is extremely wounded. He ends up in places that he is unsure of. He is unsure of where he is. There's severe blood loss and there's uncertainty as to what the reality is that he is seeing. In his mind, he's been taken back to prison while he's actually hiding in this shelter. And slowly but surely you see him snapping in and out of reality to come to the conclusion that he's extremely wounded and he is a soldier, he was a fighter, he was part of an organization that stood for something. And at this moment he is unsure as to what he can actually still do, how he's able to perform, how is he able to escape this. And there's the uncertainty of this strong character in the movie. And if you look into the eyes of this character, you can see that he is losing himself, the certainty of being able to survive, to fight, and the ability to keep going on, to endure. And what's actually happening in this movie is that you keep seeing him going down this rabbit hole of different locations where he's unsure of who to trust. He is losing his mind further and further. Every time he snaps back into reality, he is worse off because of the blood loss. He is not getting the medical attention that he needs. He is so far from home, but he can't go anywhere because of the big manhunt that's out for him due to the robbery. And in the Batman Part 2, we can see that the police is all over Batman. We don't know where that is going, but if you take a look at this, perhaps at the end of this we might get some sort of Mask of the Phantasm police chase where the Batman is so badly cornered, the Batmobile gets wrecked, he barely escapes, he needs to take his cowl off, he is more naked, he is more vulnerable to the police. And if Batman needs to unmask himself to escape, he can't even show himself to the police, where an escape would be even more difficult to pull off. And in this movie you can see a big difference in the beginning from the movie to the end. In the beginning there's the most amount of hope and courage and survival for this character, but at the end it's really sinking away. And then some of the overlay footage right now, you can see that he finds some sort of shelter, people he might be able to trust. Not all of the people are agreeing as to where he should go. Should he go to the police? Should he be brought to a hospital? Or should he be brought to the church in order to get out of town? And at this point you can really imagine if Batman would be captured by the Court of Owls or be trapped in a labyrinth and he ends up somewhere, he needs to drink poisoned water, he needs to take poison, consume poison in order to go on, and he might get flashbacks of his love life that he had before all of this went on with the Batman, and his parents talking to him. There might be a new layer of the depth of emotional damage that the Batman has endured because of the death of his parents, and we might be able to get a little bit deeper into that as Matt Reeves has described before. I think one of my favorite parts of this movie is the disparity of the main character at the end. They are going through the town, they can't be spotted, anyone who sees them might report them to the police. The police are still out there, there's a manhunt going on. He collapses in the bushes and his companion tells him to stay there, I'm going to get help and we're going to get you out of here. He's still unsure, so something in there re-energizes him. Maybe Batman is going to get a flashback, maybe he finds something to fight for, just a little thought that he is needed out there. He does need to do the right thing. He needs to escape this, he needs to move on. But on the brink of dying, the medical attention is not there. He is bleeding out, he is not seeing everything for what it is. But he keeps fighting, and at the end you see the police is closing in. There's nothing to be done about this situation. He is so slow, he is weak, he is not the guy in the best of shape. He can't make another fight work with the police. But it's just a level of seeing what's going to happen, but it's just very slowly coming to that conclusion that is really interesting. This character fought the entire movie. He lost his mind partially in the process because he doesn't know what's going on anymore for half of the time. And in front of the police, he just collapses. He's just wanting to rest while there's no time to rest. And I think it could be a interesting take. And again, it should be just an inspiration. They shouldn't do a one-on-one, but they can do so much inspiration. Even that I was able to use some of the Mask of the Phantasm clips in here for this movie and then combine it with the Batman Part 2. I think it's just an interesting way to watch these movies. So the way that it's going to end, I'm not going to show here, but there's not much to do in this situation. And I think it's really cool. It might be cool to see Batman this vulnerable. I think the first part that we saw him do that is just before he jumps out of the GCPD. And he's just caught by the police. He's in there with 20 officers. We already thought there was no way out, but he talks his way out of it together with his companion. And that's really interesting to see. So I think a lot of these shots, the way that the emotion is here, a beaten down character, a warrior that first was really strong, is trying to figure out how to survive one night to keep going the next day. And yeah, just an interesting movie, especially when you look at it like what's going to inspire the Batman Part 2. And the fun thing is, we don't even know if it's really for the Batman Part 2, but the way that they're tweeting this out, I think it's a good indication of that it actually is. So I like to believe that, and that's where this video is coming from. So it can also be really damaging for Bruce to see all of the police that he helped out and he's trying to protect in the first movie while the flood is going on. He wants to help out. He is seen as a hero. And all of a sudden, in the brink of a few weeks, something changed that they're out for him. They're out for blood. They want to get him. They want to catch him. They want to tear the Batman down. What has happened? What makes them hunt for the Batman? And it's just a lot of things you can fantasize about, which makes this really fun. I really suggest you watch Odd Man Out, and if you're interested in the Batman, you should watch it with the mindset of how can this be interpreted for the Batman Part 2. I think even if you don't really like this movie and you are interested in the Batman Part 2, or you were a really big fan of the Batman Part 1, that it's an interesting watch and a different way to watch a movie. So let me know if you want to see more. Is this an interesting concept? Is this not well enough executed? Please let me know. I just want to try something out because I'm really intrigued by the Batman Part 2, just as I was for the Batman Part 1.